Okay, so a minor amendment to the last video opening just to clarify something. I hate Transformers Energon as a show, not as a toy line. Granted, the toy line wasn't the greatest by any stretch, as by and large, the Autobots were all kinds of crap thanks to the combining nonsense. The Decepticons were all pretty neat though, and I kinda wish I'd picked up more of those. None of which has anything to do with today's subject. Yet another entry from the finale of the Unicron trilogy, Transformers Legacy United Cybertron Universe Vector Prime. Transform and roll out! See this? This is cardboard. It's made of tree. You know what happens to trees in the Amazon rainforest? They go bye-bye. And now a word of history. Vector Prime was introduced into the Transformers universe as a central character of the Transformers Cybertron series. An ancient clockwork Cybertronian, dubbed the Guardian of Time, Vector Prime helped guide the Autobots on their quest to locate the 4 Cyber Planet Keys and Omega Lock in order to awaken Primus and put a stop to the Unicron singularity. A powerful ally and good friend to those who knew him, Vector Prime put his all into his duty to save the galaxy, giving his life and his sword in the process. Further media would define Vector Prime as one of the original 13 Primes, who would go on to have a long-running and questionably canon Q&A forum to answer some of these stupidest and nerdiest questions a TF fan can come up with. Seriously, who cares? Vector Prime's presence would also be alluded to in media to follow, but he would only make one more noteworthy appearance on TV in the 2015 Robots in Disguise series, by giving Optimus Prime a power boost and then telling him to clock off. And now he makes a return to the realm of plastic in Legacy as a retool of the G2 G-Axis mold, and he's okay, I guess? Next to the original, there are some notable differences, not the least of which being the overall size. Seriously, I think the old one has nearly twice the plastic mass, and they're both Voyager class. Hell, this guy is why the class was called Voyager in the first place. Still, most of the design has been replicated here to a degree I can't complain much about, apart from the legs. Not to parrot initial complaints everyone had, but it does still bother me that his boots weren't retooled enough to rid him of this nonsense. He's meant to be made of clockwork, not a doorway for
hippies.
Also, what is this? You couldn't even be bothered to remove the molding for the hinges this thing no longer has? Furthermore, the colors are, well, not super different, but definitely noticeably different hues on each. Granted, I actually think this makes Legacy Vector Prime more accurate to the show, as well as the Galaxy Force toy version of Vector Prime. So yeah, not a completely accurate recreation of the original, but I'd say it scrapes by with just enough detail for a passing grade. For what he lacks in looks, though, he makes up for in posing, up to a certain point, as while he certainly can do a lot more than the original, the shoulder joints on this one are not standard. Also, while the original toy featured a sound box for whenever his cyber key, that I don't have, is inserted, the new Vector Prime's Xeonomicon cyber key, seriously that's what it's called, merely pegs onto his chest with no flare whatsoever, or slots into his bag, or pegs into a sword. By the way, he still has a sword, but unlike the original wrestling, the storage options are minimal and not as cleanly integrated. That's it though, these are the only accessories the United figure comes with, which is acceptable, I guess. Much as I'd like to have a new safeguard with him, I can't rightly expect it any more than I did with the previous Armada figures. The original Vector Prime's conversion to alt mode is so simple it only just barely registers, while the new one is something of a more involved affair with the arrangement of his arms and legs being notably different. Both ultimately end up as Cybertronic space cruisers when all is said and done, or maybe robot hot dogs. It's a very nondescript shape with only the presence of a cockpit and these solar panel wing things really giving an impression of some kind of craft. A good close-up look at both also really hits home the clockwork themes of the design with the gear detailing, some of which being well highlighted by the gold paint. However, while the leg conversion of the Legacy figure at least does more to integrate into the starship design, the wire detailing left over from G-Axis just wrecks the clockwork illusion outright. To compound matters, the old Vector Prime may not have the best integrated limbs, but at least his sword stores away much more cleverly than the new one. To conclude though, I'm torn about the Legacy figure. It's not awful by any stretch, but it's very definitely underwhelming in a few too many regards than I'd like. It's a better poser, and in a way still carries enough of the spirit of Vector Prime's old design to get by, but when we already have figures like Override and Starscream as benchmarks for Cybertron character revivals, this ends up feeling as much if not more of an afterthought as Galaxy Upgrade Prime. As such, I wouldn't recommend it as a must-have, but maybe if you happen upon one and are pressed for options. Again, it's not bad, it just doesn't feel very special. This has been another short review from the Devassia Mentality. For those curious, I am still planning a sequel animation to the Doom animation, but per my usual adherence to plans, I wouldn't bank on seeing that through for a long while yet. Thanks for watching, peace out, and plastic in.
I finally understand the true value of time, for it is the bonds between us that give time its meaning.